You're listening to Addie's Radio on the Vets on Media Network.
Thank you for tuning in to, good morning. Thanks for tuning in to At Ease Radio. I'm your host, Jesse Gerritsen, and joining me in the studio today is Adam Bird and Matt. Matt, what's your last name? I don't know your last name.
Schaub, like
Schaub.
the football player.
Schaub.
Oh, yeah.
Schaub. Yeah.
Cool, man. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. Just staying busy, man.
Yeah?
Staying busy. Yeah.
Good. How was your weekend? Anything productive?
It was pretty laid back, but that was good. I got some stuff done. Learned a few more pieces of audio hardware over the weekend, which is incredibly uninteresting to hear about, but it was interesting for me. So, anyway, that's what I did. That and video games. So,
Cool. What's your favorite video game?
Oh God, at the moment, well, actually, I started playing Diablo 3. I gave that a shot. Fell in love with it. I want to buy it, but I don't need to be spending like $40 to $60 at the moment, so I'm putting it off until my birthday. But I'm waiting,
Awesome.
counting down.
Hey, when is your birthday?
July 11th.
Oh, right around the corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
How you doing today, Adam?
I'm doing good.
Huh?
I am. Thank you.
Awesome. How was your weekend?
It was all right. It was all right. It was a little different. I didn't have my boy with me this weekend. He was down at his grandparents, so it was. I got a bunch of stuff done that I probably normally wouldn't have gotten done. But yeah, at the same time, it was a little weird not having him in the house.
Yeah.
So it was quiet.
Quiet.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in today. We're talking. I wanted to ask Adam to come in to talk about what's it going to take for America to trust the VA again.
Wow.
And we're going to open up the phone line too. So if anybody wants to call in, it's cool. The number is 602-399-7787. But so go ahead.
So just dive right into it, huh?
Oh yeah. Let's start off with what do you think the main problems are?
Well, I think a lot of it was lack of leadership, and first and foremost, I think the problem is that there was a lot of liars up there. There's that misconception that veterans were being taken care of. We've heard about this phony list, and and there's a lot of truth that's coming out now, and I'm starting to see a lot of politicians kind of backpedal. My opinion on it myself is you see some of these politicians that are trying to support what's going on. Let's say the VA we got to take care of our veterans. These guys knew about it from the beginning. It wasn't a surprise, and if they say, well, we didn't know anything about it, then they're choosing not to.
Right.
Because I know I've called Senator McCain's office a number of times, and I have somebody else I know, several other people that have called his office weekly, and didn't get any responses and stuff. And granted, that's only a few people out of hundreds of thousands here in Arizona, but
yeah,
I think it's a lack of leadership. Do I think it was the right decision that that General Secretary Shinseki stepped down? Yeah, I think it was, but I think it goes above him as well. And do I think anybody above him is going to get in trouble? Probably not. It's the way the world. As much as I would like to think that they would try to do the right thing, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Above his level. Now, from his level down, do I see changes being made? Yeah, I could see, and I hope that we start seeing those changes
right
come along.
Awesome. Awesome. Matt, do you have an opinion as somebody who is not a veteran but is, obviously
Well,
concerned about it?
I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit last week, but since then, of course, there was the speech, I guess you would, or the address, whatever you want to call it, by, and I can't remember his name, Shinseki or something like that.
Yeah.
I think was the name.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I didn't butcher it. Anyway, I saw that, and I guess seeing him admit that he was wrong and that the state of things is far worse than he had ever imagined, I guess, like, that gave me a little hope, I guess. It's unfortunate that more people in positions of power, as it were, are not as willing and open to admitting their own mistakes, I guess. I guess the thing for me that's probably the most aggravating about the whole thing is that it's not like it's some issue that came up within the last, like since the start of our most recent conflicts in the Middle East. This isn't a problem that started, some 10, 15 years ago, however long. This is a thing that's been a problem for ages. As a matter of fact, actually, Jon Stewart on The Daily Show last night had a whole piece about it.
Right.
World War I, veterans were marching on Capitol Hill trying to get their the money that they had been promised, basically, and they got basically removed with tear gas and tanks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a problem that goes back forever.
It's not a new problem.
No, I agree with him. It's we signed the dotted line, we volunteered, but at the same time we signed a contract. Now, if we breach that contract, we get in trouble. So why doesn't that work both ways? Because I look at it like the government's breaching a contract to the veterans. The promise to get help, and they're doing this. They promise us this, they promise us that, and there's a lot of veterans out there that will say, "Oh, I've never had any issues with the VA." Well, you know what? Good for you. But the vast majority of veterans have some type of issue,
right,
pending with the VA. Now, at one time, there was a million backlog of veterans. There was a million. I mean, just think about that for a second. There was a million that were backlogged.
Yeah.
At the VA, and I heard it from somebody, I forget where, but it made sense. You realize if you had a million veterans that were in a backlog, right, and you took and gave $1 million to each of those veterans, the VA would actually save money in the long run just doing it.
Yeah.
That way.
Really?
Yeah. They spend $100 million. Cause you think about it, the U.S. government, $100 million. That's nothing to them right now. I mean, we're already trillions of dollars in debt, and we're giving billions of dollars to
to a system that doesn't work,
and foreign aid and all that other. You cut foreign aid off. You let somebody hate us for free, and you take that money and you give it to the veterans. If you had a million backlog and you gave everybody those million veterans $1 million, right, and said, all right, now we're wiping the slate clean from here moving forward.
Right. But a counterpoint to that, you've been in the military, and like when would veterans be able to handle that money? I mean, because like if you look at people that have like won the lottery, usually within like 5 years they're back to where they were, or they're because they're not ready for that amount of money. And so that's I'm just putting that as a counterpoint. I'm not saying that. I'm just. What do you think?
Well, there's two ways you could do it. Then you give them $1 million cash, and obviously since it's not disability, it's compensation.
Yeah.
Which is tax free,
right,
as we know. That's you can give it to them monthly, or you give it to them. Or actually, that might be a better way to do it. Just give them a certain amount each month,
right,
and do it that way, or you just tell them, hey, we give you this in one large lump sum, but then after this, you're on your own. And if that's the case, then you teach, you have a class on how to manage. Is $1 million? That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us would be fortunate enough to ever get that in a lifetime or 3 lifetimes.
Right.
But I think that's people are wanting answers. There's an answer. And is it realistic? Probably not. Would it ever happen? Highly unlikely with the way the politics are today.
Yeah.
Does it make sense in doing it that when does it get people thinking about it? Absolutely. And I think that's something that should be considered.
Totally. So going back to like, well, what are the solutions? What are some other solutions do you think?
Steve Cooper is a fellow veteran. He's been on the Vets On with Adam and James program that airs every Wednesday 9 to 11.
Great.
Wow, self-promotion.
And I've known Steve for I don't know, probably about 5 years now. And Steve had an issue with the VA, and I believe he has like stage 4 prostate cancer. And if he went out and he ended up getting his own doctors.
Yeah.
And that's they're the ones that caught everything. And if it wasn't for that, the VA was saying, okay, it's going to take a year before we can get you tests and this and this. And Steve has told the story, and it is rather quite an amazing story. But the VA's healthcare system and how corrupt it is, and I'm not saying that everybody that works at the VA is bad. I'm not saying that. There is a lot of very good people, warm-hearted people that work for the VA.
Right.
That are trying to abide by the rules that are given down by higher-ups to them. Do I think the doctors serve the best interest? Do I think the VA has the best doctors in the world? No, I don't. Mm-hmm. I have the one that I'm seeing over at the Northwest Clinic called me the other day after canceling my appointment 4 times, finally called and said, I just called to check how you're feeling. I was like, yeah, when am I coming in? They're like, well, I'm not going to be able to squeeze you in. That's why I'm calling. And I'm just like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I'll just up your, he's like, I'm gonna prescribe you this, and this, and we're gonna up this. And I was like, I don't want to pop pills. I don't want to do that. I want an answer, and You're not giving me an answer.
Right.
And then shortly after that, there was an organization that called. It wasn't the DA. I think it was like the Iraq, Afghan Veteran Service. I don't know, one of the offices down there, and they called and inquired about if I was being taken care of up there, and I told them what was going on, and they wrote everything down. They're like, we're going to file a complaint. It's ridiculous how we have to go through.
It really is
this process. It's like I got another guy, my neighbor, who's a vet, and he had broke his back in service, and they didn't give him. He's had several surgeries, and they denied him this, and he finally filed something and had it's going through. He got a service dog and PTSD and all this other stuff, but the loops, and he's been doing this for about 7 years. 7 years he's been fighting with the VA. And he got out in the early 90s. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Okay, well, we'll give you this, but we're not going to give you this. And it's almost like the VA will just try to give you something, hoping that you just walk away and don't try to push for anything. Mm-hmm. And go from there. And I don't know. That's just my input on it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
But just ignore them; they'll go away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
totally.
And that's basically what it. That's how they kind of make you feel. It's like
they make you feel small.
Yeah.
I know that. Go ahead, sorry.
No. Yeah, no, I agree. It's you go in and you're just like, well, you need to do this, and it's like you have to, the documentation and everything. And here's the thing. And James, the other owner of Vets On Media, he also the other co-host for Vets On,
which is on at 9/11.
Yeah, 9/11 every Wednesday. You check us out tomorrow morning. He's brought it up several times in our shows. He's got all the documents but for me, if you're still active, you're currently active, whether you're guard, reserve, or active duty, make sure you document everything. And I mean, before you get out, go see doctors. Go, if you got complaints, even for a small headache, get it on paper, put everything down, and have it. I made the mistake is, when I was on active duty special orders, I didn't go to a military doctor. I was just like, you know what, I feel this, and this. I'll just suck it up and drive on with it. And now getting out, it's like trying to go through everything. It's like, well, this happened. Like, well, you didn't see a military doctor, so you can't do this. I was like, well, I saw my civilian doctor at this time, and this, and this. So it's been a real pain. And then you push something in, and then they send 5 things back.
Right.
And here, you need to do this, and then you submit those 5 things, and then they come back with 3 other things, and it's just like, and after I went through it 2 years, just over 2 years before I got anything. Once I really started pushing it, and now I did an appeals process just recently, about 6 months ago, and I haven't heard anything on it. So it's probably be another 2 years before I.
But totally right. And the thing about it is, for me, because I know people and I've had similar experiences, is that it's like you can't get out from under this, because it's something like you literally have to hire a team to hire lawyers, just to be seen at the VA.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing, you're reinforcing, like oh, like this is what's wrong with me, and it can't, so for me, I feel like it can't possibly be a system that helps heal you.
No.
When all it does is bring back your traumatic experience, makes you relive
it. Makes in some cases it makes things worse.
Yeah.
And it's like you're supposed to be helping me, and all you're doing is making it worse.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's a very ominous note to leave it on. When we get back, we're going to talk about some solutions and what. And I'm going to see if Adam will stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talk about what we can do as vets to kind of stick together and pull through this. Thanks. So you're listening to At Ease.
How about that bandage? You got them ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Are you or someone you know suffering from eczema, diabetes, or vitamin deficiencies? Then I can share with you something to help remedy that with health and wellness. It can be a business plan too, which is a great opportunity to meet and interact with all types of people who care about changing lives. So when you are ready to make a difference, call Jamie at 602-295-9969. That's 602-295-9969.
Hey everyone, it's Adam from Vets On. Are you or someone you know looking for employment? Then look no further than iVetX. iVetX is placing veterans with the right hiring companies. Join their mission in putting veterans in inspiring careers with ensured success. Access their national pipeline of military talent for companies. All veterans are pre-screened for 55 soft skill sets, 800 clarification types, education, experience, salary range, and so much more. iVetX can help you find the perfect job to veteran match. Your skills are based on what's needed for success in that job. If you're a hiring company or a veteran looking for your next career, then get started today and go to www.ivetx.com. iVetX, bridging the employer-veteran gap by putting Americans' veterans to work today.
Welcome back to At Ease Radio. I'm your host, Jesse, and we were talking about what's it going to take for America to trust the VA again. And I want to open up that question to Matt and Adam and to any of my listeners. So you can call in at 602-399-7787, or you can log on to my Facebook page, or the At Ease Radio Facebook page, or Google Plus, and do a comment. So anyway, what do you think? What do you think it's going to take for?
I think they're gonna have to fire everybody. Excuse me, and they're gonna have to start from scratch. And the biggest thing that they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to put the veterans first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That need the care. They got to put them first.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
That's interesting.
I don't know what it's going to take necessarily for people to trust the VA again. I think that's that's an open wound that's been around for pretty much as long as America has been a nation, right. I would say. And I think the first step to fixing the issue, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad it's being talked about finally, because obviously this is an issue that a lot of vets have known about for ages. So I'm glad that it was finally kind of brought into the spotlight. But if we could stop playing the blame game, that would be nice. It's not Obama's fault. It's not Bush's fault. It's not Clinton's fault. It's not this is a problem that goes way back when. So we can stop blaming political parties. This is an effort from both groups.
Right. It's going to take everyone to be
it really
part of the
is.
solution.
And kind of as Adam had mentioned during the break, this whole thing with the VA got talked about quite a bit for 2 weeks thereabout, I guess, and then this whole thing with the prisoner trade-off, and now the VA is just kind of being swept under the rug, which kind of seems like, and pardon my cynicism, but that kind of seems to be the trend. Oh, well, we look bad. I guess we should probably do something that makes us look kind of good. If we ignore this problem, it will go away.
Didn't this happen with Benghazi?
Yes, it did. This has happened.
Right,
plenty of times.
I mean, once a certain topic, once the government started getting a lot of heat on a certain topic, they all of a sudden it was almost like a paradigm shift, right? And you saw, something else, and for the life of me, I forget what it was, but something else came up, and it wasn't, And
it wasn't all of a sudden the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a trend that I would like to see change. Like, you guys goofed up. And it's not, again, it's not just you guys specifically that are in office now. This is a problem that goes way back. But you all should be held accountable because you didn't do anything about it. But can we just own up to it?
Yeah. I really like that. I love that we're saying, like, let's not blame people. So So I think that taking responsibility on the VA, taking responsibility would be a huge step for me personally in trusting them again. But then I think also us taking some steps, and coming together as veterans and forming a more cohesive, I don't know, I'm just putting this out there, but group of people that support each other, because right now I feel like it's pretty departmentalized, just like just like the VA is so departmental. I mean, there's so many different departments. It's so confusing. I don't even think the people that work at the VA understand how the VA works or who makes the decisions. You know,
Right.
so
Yeah.
And so getting kind of a unified front. I don't know.
Get everybody on the same page,
Right.
is what you're saying.
Right.
No, I agree.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be that's how it's going to have to be in order for anything to get fixed. But I think that's true for most things, right?
Right.
Kind of like you and I talked about last week. You just got to get everybody to sit down in a room and shut up and let everybody talk one at a time so that everybody understands
Yeah.
where everybody else is at, and then
Right.
kind of make a plan from there.
Right.
But how you go about doing that, I have absolutely no idea.
And it's such a huge problem in VA, you know, like because veterans, we have been faced with the stress of death. I mean, no matter like if you've been to war, like you've been under that stress of that where everybody is like worried, you know, and so we typically have PTSD to a higher extent than most, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Right.
And so it's a huge job and it's not an easy thing. And so I think maybe what we're kind of moving towards and what it seems like is taking some of the responsibility away from the VA, you know, and just like maybe like the mental and emotional part, outsourcing that to other, you know, groups that have proven that they know how to raise emotional intelligence, or I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out of my butt, but what do you think?
As far as outsourcing
Yeah.
help,
Yeah.
instead of going to the VA, like having the private sector come in and
And maybe like a little bit more
and help.
competition.
You know, it's not a bad idea having the private sector come in and offer other alternatives. And I know the pharmaceutical companies are going to hate me for saying this, but
my God.
you know, I think one of the problems is you see a lot of veterans overdosing on or become addicted to pain pills and stuff like that because of the stuff that's being. And there's other things that are out there that are more natural, I think, and I think that gets overlooked because a lot of pharmaceutical companies that put a lot in towards campaigns, funding campaigns, and it turns into a big political agenda.
I could not agree with you more.
And that's why that stuff gets overlooked, and people don't want people don't want to hear that. That's the problem.
Yeah.
People do not want to hear, "Wow, we need these medicines. We need these medicines." There are medicines out there that are meaningful that take care of things, and but there's also a lot of things out there that you don't need medicine for, that you can use a natural supplement or of some sort to take care of that same issue, and it would be more cost efficient to the person doing that. But you don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that because it's all about the money.
Pharmaceuticals.
And where is that money going to? It's going to the pharmaceutical companies, who are also paying for. There are Senate. You look at the Senate and people there, and I've said this before. I think it'd be funny if you're running for a public office of some kind, that you should wear a NASCAR suit.
Yeah, no kidding.
No
kidding.
And you wonder, you see who all the sponsors are, and then you wonder why that person is, and they say they say what they say.
Yeah,
because they're getting supporters backing them and whatnot. But do I think outsourcing would be a good thing to do? Yeah, especially now, at least to get things caught up. The only problem that I see with that is the consistency and the difference of opinion between doctors. So like, let's say you and I have an ankle injury or something.
Right.
Actually I do, and it's the same type of injury, happened the same way, everything's identical to it, right? You go to one doctor and your doctor says, "Oh man, you should be on cane, or you should never you have to have surgery, blah 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 blah." And then my doctor, which actually happened to me, says, "Oh, you went to physical therapy, you're fine, you shouldn't have any issues." Yet there's scarring and whatnot, and I was like, okay, so all the pain that I'm having is just a figment of my imagination. Yeah, I mean that's normal for a guy your age.
Okay. Well,
Normal. Define normal.
Such a horrible response. When you're I mean the doctor's response.
Yeah.
I
I got a phone call. I had several tests done about a month or two ago, and they all came back normal.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess the pain that I feel, that I suffer, and sometimes I have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, or the fact that I can't keep my food down most days.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to know that for a 36-year-old guy that's in decent shape, that's
Pretty
normal.
right?
That's normal.
Oh, that's normal. That's
how relieved was I to hear that I'm normal.
Well, for the VA, it is normal. I mean, because that's everybody's coming in. Yeah.
So
that's the standard of care.
I found reason to celebrate. I was like, cool. Yeah. I'm a normal guy. That's outstanding.
Yeah. So I guess the funny thing about that is, in my head, I'm imagining you going into a doctor's office and going, yeah, so I got this issue with my ankle. It's causing me all kind of problem, whatever. And he pulls out a pen, just writes down. He just looks at you.
Yeah.
Scribbles something on a note and goes,
yeah.
I don't believe you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
leaves the room.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
He gets a little.
I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna put you on that list.
I prescribe you
right?
normal.
Put you on that list.
Yeah.
But no, it's a shame. Everything that's been going on, and I don't think. I think it's going to take a long time to get things fixed. And to answer your question before is, what will it take for veterans or the rest of America to start trusting the VA again? There's going to have to be leaps and bounds made, because that trust has been violated so badly.
Right.
And if they just come out and start, hey, you guys are doing this, and people are getting fixed, you start seeing the numbers go down with it. And when I say the numbers, I mean numbers that aren't being manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers.
On secret, squirrel lists and all this other stuff. And the big thing is just getting people in leadership positions that actually give a damn about our veterans, because it's clearly within. And I was trying to find. I had a website. I can't find it now, but it gave a list of salaries for people in the upper. I mean, we're talking more than $250,000 a year for salaries, and they're working for the VA. And now, is it true? I don't know. I'm this is all secondhand knowledge. But if it were the case, I really, really hope those people don't sleep at night, because
they're not really
they're not
up to their responsibility.
they're not helping. No, and if you're worried about getting bonuses, you're trying to manipulate this. I've said this. I started saying this last year, that veterans are becoming a hot commodity in the business world. We're basically looked at now as an opportunity to make money off of, and it's not just like anybody else where cars and stuff. I'm talking about they're taking our health, our well-being, and trying to capitalize on that. And unfortunately, we've seen several deaths that's come of it, especially here locally, and that's unacceptable. And something needs to change, and it needs to happen now.
And okay, so I want to maybe put this in a new direction, or not talk about a new thing, and that's how vets are represented in the media, and how the VA, and is that helping the problem, or is it reinforcing it? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you're a veteran listening to Vets on Media, then you should know that we love you and we appreciate you listening in. Make sure you check out all the shows at www.vetsonmedia.com.
Oh my God, doing that shameless self-promotion, man.
But in all seriousness, I really think it depends on what I call mainstream media, like Fox, CNN, and stuff like that. It really depends on which one you watch, because if I try to watch a couple. To be honest with you, I try not to watch the news, because one, it's depressing. But, and
because it's sensational.
But
it's everything.
But it is like it's like a great form of entertainment because
Right.
you could watch one news channel and they're covering a story, and that you go to another news channel, they're covering that same story, but it's polar opposites on who's saying what and
Right.
and whatnot, and it blows my mind because they tell you what they want you to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I think when there was like a shooting or whatnot and a veteran was involved, immediately, oh, the person had PTSD, blah 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 blah, and because that person had PTSD, every veteran with PTSD is a shooter or this and that, and that's not the case at all. At least that's a perception that I got from some of the stories that were within the last year. But now you're seeing the VA and how the media is covering the VA and these people are these people how could these people do this to our nation's veterans and whatnot. Well, they've been doing it for years, and they've just somebody finally had the balls enough to come up and say something about it, and I don't even want to say they have the balls to say it because veterans have been saying that stuff needs to change for years. I'm sure of it because these senators and these politicians, they've been getting phone calls, they've been getting letters, and they've been pushed. The veterans have been pushed to the wayside, and it wasn't until a whistleblower, somebody that actually worked for the VA, that came out and leaked it. It took that to really come out and say, well, actually, I think about it. It took deaths of veterans to come out to actually push this, and that should have never have happened. That should have never have happened.
No.
What are your thoughts, Matt? Media.
I guess the way the media is kind of, Adam had just mentioned, media has treated this whole thing, how dare they mistreat our veterans, and we love them, but I'm like, but no, you don't.
Yeah.
You look for reasons, it seems like, and of course this isn't always the case. I'm making a broad statement here. But it seems like anytime there is, again, some kind of a shooting or some kind of, somebody does something stupid in a war zone, that's one of our troops, our military and our veterans are blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, that's all well and good. Have you spoken to one by chance? Do you know anybody in the military? Do you know a veteran with PTSD? Because I'm willing to bet you don't. So before you, and of course you just being any stupid, ignorant media individual, just goes running around spouting all sorts of nonsense about, well, this one thing happened one time, so we're going to go ahead and generalize and assume that everybody is going to do this all of the time.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't.
It means
I
somebody's
don't understand
political agenda or something.
Yeah, but as soon as it's cool to suddenly support veterans and how dare they? Well, then
let's jump on the bandwagon.
By God, I love our veterans and they deserve all the respect we can possibly give them, until people forget, and then we'll go back to being dicks about it.
It's just lip service.
And I guess that again, kind of like I said last week, I'm glad it's getting talked about, but talking doesn't do shit. Pardon my French, but like. Can we do something about it though?
Mm-hmm.
Can we? Yes, talking about it's good.
Less talk, more action.
But yeah,
right.
I don't know. I guess that I don't know.
Totally. Thanks for your perspective. So as far as action, what kind of action should we be taking as media, as us media, and what can we play? What part do we play in this?
I think the big thing is sticking together. It's obvious that veterans, we're the only ones that obviously nobody else is going to take care of us. We're going to have to stick together and take care of each other.
Yeah.
Battle buddy system, and as far as the media side of things, Vets on Media, we, with all of the shows that are on the network, and not all the shows are veterans. The girls have Christina and Michelle from No Limits Radio, they do a great job covering a lot of veteran issues, and they're both civilians. Neither one of them have served, but they're very patriotic, and they talk about the issues and what can be done to help our nation's veterans. A lot of other shows, the New American Veteran with Carl Monger out of Dallas, Tactical 16 with Silent J. Again, James and myself, with Vets On with Adam and James. I mean, we have a lot of veteran shows on here, and I think everybody does a great job of bringing it up and trying to get the word out about what we're doing as a network. At the same time, what are trying to bridge that gap and really trying to bring people together to see that this is an issue that's not going away. We have a big drawdown that's coming with our military, and I see a problem that there's already not a lot of jobs available out there. So it's been said, how are you gonna handle this big drawdown with limited jobs available? You think the homeless issue is an issue. Homelessness is an issue now. Those numbers could potentially go up. That's something that I don't think they really have thought about. I think as a media, though, we really need to continue to educate people, and don't take our word for it. Go out there and do your homework on it. If you're listening to other news resources, there's that saying, don't believe everything you read, don't believe everything you hear. We're just giving you our perspective on it and what we think about it. Go out and do the homework and look at it and then go out and do something about it. Help make a difference. If you don't believe, if you think the system's corrupt, it's not going to change. It takes one person. One person can influence somebody else to help make a change, and you start that snowball effect. But until we start doing that and start educating ourselves and helping each other, nothing will change.
Beautiful point. Thank you for your perspective, Adam. We're going to go on a break now, and when we get back, me and Matt will talk a little bit more about solutions, and again, the phone lines will be open. So you are listening to At Ease.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Would your goal be to get you and your family out of debt? I can show you how thousands of people and families are doing just that. This is a business plan made simple. We offer everything from weight loss products to green cleaning solutions. Whether you're interested in making it a full-time or part-time opportunity to become debt-free, or if you are just sick and tired of being sick and tired, call Jamie at 602-295-9969. That's 602-295-9969.
Breaker, 1-9. How about that bandage? You got some ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Do you need an extra push to start your day? Well, then tune in to Addie's Radio. Addie's Radio is a show that explores tough questions in an open and fun forum. The program also engages hard-hitting issues concerning veterans' physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. This show airs every Tuesday from 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Vets On Media Network. Addie's Radio is hosted by Jesse James, a combat veteran of Afghanistan, so he knows the problems that veterans face every day. Jesse provides you guidance each and every week to be a better you. So tune into yourself each week by tuning into Addie's Radio. Go to vetsonmedia.com for show details.
Hi, welcome back to At Ease Radio. So before we left, we were talking about solutions and what we can do as media or just as vets to help the situation, to bring vets back into thing. And so I want to get your perspective on it as well, Matt. And explain again how you're connected with the military. Or
okay, sure. Well, my dad is active duty Air Force. Has been for something close to like 27 years now. So I've grown up as a military brat, and I feel like my kind of perspective on a lot of military and veteran issues is a little bit different, simply because I am not active duty, never have been. But as a dependent, I still get to see a lot of the stuff that that goes on, and the repercussions of decisions that are made higher up that affect active duty and veterans and their families. As far as getting the VA fixed, to be perfectly honest, I have no idea how to go about doing that. That's a big job. But I think Adam's statement of just kind of firing everybody and starting from scratch it's going to be the cleanest way to go, or the certainly not the easiest, but I think that trying to fix a system as broken as this one might be even more difficult than just going back to square one.
Well, so the question actually is not talking about the VA. Or
sorry, for you're talking media stuff?
Talking about individual responsibility. So from your perspective, you represent independents and people who are connected, who maybe aren't in the military, but who are connected to the military. And so I want to get what do you think that people that are in that position, who are just onlookers, who are not maybe connected to the military in that they've been in it, but are connected to the military and that they have loved ones and who are, what can they do, or what conversation can we start that will help fix this system?
Sure. I think probably the two biggest things I would say that somebody on the outside, I guess, could do, firstly, go to whoever it is that if it's a family member, a friend, a neighbor, or whoever that is dealing with this kind of stuff, and just see if there's anything you can do to help them out.
Right.
Because the whole thing is it's obviously a stressful ordeal, right? And I think in most cases there's a very good chance that they're not going to talk about necessarily whatever it is. If they're suffering from some kind of a physical, some kind of physical pain or something like that, that's not necessarily something that they're going to be totally open to talk about with everybody. And they're not necessarily just going to broadcast it, right?
Right.
I don't know of many veterans that just go, "Oh, woe is me! Right. I have this. Someone help!" Because I think that's so far from like the military kind of veteran mindset. But that said, I feel like I've known many a veteran who would not decline the help if you offered. So I'd say first and foremost, offer whatever kind of support you can, where you can. But second, don't let issues like this whole thing with the VA get swept under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like we had talked about a little bit earlier in the show. You know, the media and the government both are they're notorious for trying to distract you with, you know, shiny lights over here when there's this big dark shady spot over here.
Right.
So I think, I mean, again, I'm glad the issue is being talked about, but I think we need to make sure that that continues until things improve.
Yeah.
You know, admitting that there's a problem is the first step, but you still got to do something about it. The problem's not just going to fix itself.
Right.
And that's going to take takes a lot of effort on the part of pretty much everybody. And it's kind of a long shot because I think a lot of the American mindset now has become this couch potato mentality of, oh, yep, that's a problem. Somebody should fix that.
Right.
And they just, you know, pop another chip in their mouth. Like, very few people, it seems like, are willing to do things. And I think part of that is
right.
It kind of comes back to a social media thing. A very good friend of mine.
Well, I think social media could be used either way. I mean, it can be used to distract,
right.
and it could also be used to raise awareness and talk about issues that maybe aren't being discussed in
right.
mainstream. Right.
And you know, when I was living in Korea, the guy that I hosted a radio show with there, Sergeant Andrew Brandstad, he used to refer to it as internet slacktivism, and I think that's a good.
So what is that? What do you mean by that?
Slacktivism, I mean, specifically internet slacktivism, just refers to kind of people online who, and you'll see it all the time on, you know, Facebook or wherever else. There will be some news story or you know, it would be like if this whole thing with the VA, right? Say, for example, there's some viral post that goes around on Facebook about it that says, you know, this is an outrage. Like and share and comment on this post to make sure, you know, the people know this is an issue. And everyone's like, yeah, go veterans. You know, the government sucks. Share. And that's it. Like, that's the extent that it's slacktivism. Sure, they're sharing, and they know it's an issue, but they're not going to do anything to help fix the problem.
Right. And that brings up a really good point. I mean, is it good that they're raising awareness to the public and by sharing, or are they perpetuating a problem, or perpetuating blame? You know what I mean? And that's yeah.
I think that comes down to the stuff that's being shared. But you know, I think it's great that it helps get the issues out there now. I think it's much harder for governments or businesses or individuals or whoever to keep things hidden anymore. Yeah. And like, on one hand, that's pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, when, you know, we're living in a time where governments have a lot of secrets, and they're certainly entitled to some, but I think it's good now that it's much more difficult to cover up this kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, that said, maybe it's much easier for them to cover up stuff than we imagine, but this ease to access of information is fantastic.
It really is.
And spreading these issues around the world, or, you know, making them known, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The fact that we can get, up to the minute news.
Yeah.
On some conflict or some riot or whatever that's going on halfway around the world is wicked cool. Now, if we could use that for something productive other than like sharing pictures of cats every now and again,
there's
cool.
a point to sharing cats and bringing it right.
No, totally.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning of or to you before the show started, I spend a lot of time on Reddit, so I am all about just using the internet for all sorts of stupid, useless crap.
Right.
But no, I think there's a lot of good that we can do with the resources we have, and I would, and it's going that way. There's already a lot of good that gets done.
Yeah.
Through the internet, and I hope that that kind of stuff continues, and that we can at some point get out of this slacktivist mindset and actually do some things.
Use what we got for good.
Right.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, Adam brought up a kind of an interesting point that I wanted to talk about, early in the show, and but I think that connection between the pharmaceutical companies and VA healthcare is an interesting point to think about.
It is.
I know for me, and I know for most vets, it's like you go to the VA and every answer is here's a drug, 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 and those drugs weren't helping. They didn't help me, and they had a side effect. Did you see that? Have you seen that Vyvanse commercial for ADHD?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, they're like, I think it's just so funny. Like they'll here's a pill for ADHD. Side effects may include sudden death, and like underneath it's like children. Sudden death is reported in children. It's like yeah, I think I'd rather just have ADHD.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, which kind of it's a slightly different point, but it's always funny to me that the list of here's what the pill will fix is always like a third as long as here's the stuff that could go wrong.
Yeah. And what do you think the point of that is? I mean, I almost feel like it's a scare tactic because it's bringing into your mind all of those images of like sudden death and diarrhea and nausea, and then you're going, oh my God, I'm so scared. Maybe I do need a pill.
No, I think at least I was told this. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think by law they're required to put any and all, like when they're testing the drug, any problem that any of the beta testers have, as it were, has to go in there as a disclaimer. It might be linked to the medication. It may not.
Yeah.
So, I always kind of take that stuff with a grain of salt. But it is interesting to me that like every pill, it seems like somebody just kind of up and died in the middle of testing it.
Right.
That's not humorous, but kind of humorously ironic that everything. But I think, it's remarkable to me that there is a pill basically for everything now. And I think that it's interesting that we have the science to do that. And I don't think necessarily prescribing a pill to start with is a bad starting point. However, I do not think that needs to be the go-to permanent solution. I think, you go in and you have, say, I've got, I'm having some pretty serious mood swings, thoughts of suicide or whatever, or I've got some severe pain in my back or whatever, and the doc says, okay, we're gonna take a look at this. Let's run some preliminary tests, see if we can figure out where we stand. In the meantime, here's these. See if it helps you out a little bit while we get this other stuff kind of figured out. So I think just as a method to make things easier while you're going through the process of figuring out what is the problem. What is causing you this pain, this grief, this whatever it might be, and then from there you look into other solutions. I don't think medication necessarily needs to be or should be the final say so.
Yeah.
But I think it's a medication is a great thing for small stuff. But again, I don't think it necessarily needs to be something that you
for everything
prescribe, for a lifetime for everything.
Yeah.
That just seems a little over the top and dumb.
And what happens in the VA, I've seen, is you just get so much medication for everything, and then things contradict, and it's just like, when a lot of that stuff could really be cleared up with diet. I think.
Yeah. No.
Personally,
I think a good portion of your health comes down to what you eat, right? You are what you eat, and the more, like, the older I get, the more I realize there's definitely some truth in that.
Yeah.
In that old saying, but I don't know. I just think it seems to me like it's more work to figure out what pills you can take with what other pills than it does to just figure out what the issue is and see what other potential solutions you have.
Yeah.
Some psychological stuff I understand, and even physical stuff. Yeah, you need, heart medication. Okay, fair enough, whatever.
Right.
But kind of, as I said, giving pills for everything just doesn't seem smart.
Right.
When, addiction is such a huge problem.
Interesting.
And pills overlapping. I don't know.
Yeah.
It all comes down to money, though, right?
It does.
Which sucks.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we're actually running over a little bit.
Okay, so
the show just kind of like it was over lickety split. It seemed like it flew by.
We just had so much fun talking, as we always do on At Ease.
Always.
Yeah, always. If you're listening, thank you for tuning in today, and really good talk. Join us next week. We're going to be talking about a lot of more good stuff. So, as always, till next time, At Ease.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight lies gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, young rockets the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land? I'm not afraid. You're not afraid. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in name, the name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the U.S. of A. Oh, say, just that star.